Welcome to another episode of Ask the Experts. I'm your co-host, Jeffrey Walk.
And I'm Elizabeth Finlayson. We're from the networking group, TNG, which is Chicago's premier business networking group focused on helping members and making a difference in the communities we serve. Ask the Experts is an effort to share our knowledge with a wider audience.
Each week, Ask the Experts responds to questions from individuals and organizations about a problem they have faced.
We always welcome questions and feedback, and you can reach us at asktheexperts@gmail.com. That's asktheexperts, all one word, @gmail.com. On to this week's episode. In today's episode, we will explore ways music can be used to address problems of cognitive enrichment and personal development, self-confidence, and discipline. Our guest today is Brooke Schrager, who runs Lessons by Brooke Company across Illinois and Northwest Indiana. So Brooke, many children and adults are looking for ways to connect, build confidence, and develop a discipline of the mind. So we asked Brooke to provide some of her expertise and share a few stories about ways music has impacted her life and the life of her students.
Yes, thank you so much for having me today.
It's great to have you, Brooke. Thank you for joining us. Can you tell us about your company and the services you offer?
Absolutely. So we teach customized in-home private lessons to students of all ages and ability levels in just about any area of interest. So we primarily are voice and piano lessons, but we also teach guitar, violin, viola, ukulele, anything that we can kind of think of, we've got it. And we are focusing right now on virtual lessons with everything that's going on in the world. And that's been going really well for students of all ages and ability levels. Like I said, to keep us all engaged during this crazy time has been really wonderful, but normally we are in our students' homes.
So what impact do you see that music has on your students, both children and adults?
Oh my gosh, I could go on about this for forever. It's really, really incredible when you see students truly of any age and ability level. Like I keep saying that, but it's so true. The impact is huge. On cognitive abilities, you see students that learn music. It's almost like learning a second language. So they have almost this right brain, left brain connection that not a lot of people have if you're not somebody that is used to learning a whole other alphabet basically and figuring out how to read and interpret all of that. You have so many ways of expressing yourself musically so that mental, emotional side of things comes out through your music, through what you're creating. We have so many students that want to compose and write their own songs, whether it's just the lyrics or the music or everything all together. So there's a lot of development that goes on, and that happens, like I said, at all ages and ability levels. The way that we teach is more of that modern classical approach. So students are learning all of the music theory, all of the things that they really need to have the good foundation of a music education, but they're also learning pop music and, like I said, composing and playing musical games, and that stuff works too for students of all ages and ability levels. I know our music games might seem a little silly, but our adult students love them just as much as the younger kids.
That's awesome. So when you talk about the children, what changes do parents see in their children when taking lessons?
Yeah, it's a huge focuser, I think. Music lessons help you realize that your kid can sit down for 30 minutes and focus on one activity. It may seem impossible, but it does happen. And especially we're seeing, more and more kids come in with ADD, ADHD, some learning disabilities, and you see the way that they are in school in the classroom setting. And most parents come in very concerned about their students with those different learning needs, and they realize, oh, wait a second, one-on-one with a teacher and focusing on music and something they want to be here for, it is a huge world of difference. So we see just a really big focus for students of all ages and learning styles.
Great.
Awesome.
What are the reasons you see adults coming to you for lessons, Brooke?
That's a great question. There are many different reasons why adults will come to lessons, whether they are a total beginner or whether they're circling back to something that they did as a child. So we've had a doctor come to us. She is in a band and she performs at some professional conferences, and she's, you know, the people in her band are also doctors. So it's fun for her to actually have some professional training to bring to her band and her team, and then to bring to these conferences of other doctors. I've had adults come to us because they want to be better at karaoke. They just, you know, they want to go out on a Friday, Saturday night, and they want to be the best at the karaoke stand. So that happens too, but really the majority of our adult students are people that maybe are closer to retirement age, and they've realized that, you know, piano was such a big part of my life, or singing was such a big part of my life when I was in high school, and maybe throughout college, or just their middle ages, their career years, their child rearing years, they didn't have the time for it for themselves. And so they're coming back to it. And the last reason we have adults typically come to us is because they want something to do with their kids. So we do have a lot of like daddy-daughter, mother-son, piano duos, singing duos. And that's really fun too, because even though an adult and a 5 or 6 year old are going to learn at a different pace, it's so cool to be able to see them learn together and grow together. They can play duets. They can, you know, help each other, cheer each other on to practice. So it's really fun. And all of those reasons and more are why adults come to us for different lessons.
That's great. So if I'm a professional, and let's say I struggle or I'm intimidated by presenting, especially in a large forum, or I have to give a talk or a lecture, and I might be a little bit intimidated, would pursuing voice and singing lessons help me maybe project better, or just simply have a better presence?
I think so. Yeah, absolutely. Singing and being comfortable with your own voice and how all of this works in here is not something that we're taught in just your average health class, right? You know, maybe you grew up singing in your music class or in your religious, you know, setting, but the truth is once you understand how your voice works and how all of it is connected to your breath and to your posture, I think that you really can use it for a public speaking or even small group presentations to show confidence and to have the voice and, you know, that presenter announcer voice that everybody wants. Some people just don't have that naturally, but you can learn to do it. So I think, yeah, that we haven't had a ton of people come to us for that, but it's definitely a huge benefit.
I can see some people thinking about that now, that it might be helpful for. So are you seeing an increase in adults pursuing music lessons, you know, compared to when you started?
Yeah, absolutely. We've been in business since 2016, and I started, it was just me teaching 10 students, and I had a small wait list for when I was able to open up more spots, and all of those were children. And eventually, I think it took about a year of me being in business for me to get an adult student, and then I got another adult student. And as I grew and expanded, we're now 15 teachers and about 250 students. We do have a good chunk of adults. Out of that group of 250, maybe it's 10, 15, but that's a lot, I think, in the grand scheme of things.
That's great.
You had mentioned like kids with ADD, ADHD, those kind of things. So do you like specifically provide lessons to students with special needs?
We really truly work with students of all ability levels, of all learning styles, any type of special needs we can accommodate truly, especially because it's a one-on-one setting and every lesson is customized for each individual student. That being said, I do have a very special instructor that works with us who is developing a method book and a method of teaching piano students who have autism. And she's really working on developing this and making it accessible to everyone, because piano lessons and individual music learning can be a little intimidating for parents, even if their student doesn't have any special needs or special, you know, learning accommodations that they might need. Because if the parent doesn't know music themselves, they're like, oh, I don't know how to help you. You know, we see that sometimes even with school curriculum. It's very hard to help your children sometimes if it's not the way that we learned. But our goal is to make it so the parents understand what's happening, and that way they can help the student in practice, because we're only there once a week. So this method that she's developing is very holistic, and it really involves the parents and makes it so that students can access music, whether they have autism or ADD or ADHD or any other type of learning disability. And that kind of teaching style is how all of us teach. I personally interview everybody that works for us. They're either close friends of mine or a colleague that's, you know, one connection apart from where I started at Elmhurst College. And everyone truly believes that music can happen for all students.
That's so awesome. So In what way do you see these lessons carry forward in the lives of your students?
I could go on about this again. You're asking such great questions. So confidence is a huge one. I know, Jeffrey, you touched on that a little bit. That happens for adults and students. Maybe they don't feel comfortable performing as much, but they want to show off at a birthday party. So they get a little something where they can play happy birthday. And it really, really gives kids a chance to shine in whatever way they choose. I think parents see changes, like I said, in focus, but also maybe in their interests, because a lot of times as a kid, you have access to either what your parents are listening to musically or what's played in school or what all your friends are listening to. But as a music teacher, we get to open our students' eyes to all different styles of music and genres and eras and all of these different things to teach them how to truly appreciate music as a whole, history. There's so much that we can teach them, from jazz to rap to rock to musical theater to classical music. You wouldn't believe how many students come to us and they're like, I don't want to sing opera, but then they end up loving classical music. So I could go on about it for hours, but truly the results and the positive things that we see in our students are endless.
That's great. A lot of times people think of getting their kids involved with music because they think it's good for performance and it'll be some level of enrichment.
Yes.
But how does it change the lives of these kids after they've taken it? And you see your kids, some of their kids growing as you get, older, and you move on and they move on. And what do you see different about them?
Yeah, in their personalities, I do see a gain in confidence. I see them see a hard challenge, maybe whether it's a hard challenging piece in their lessons or something outside of lessons, and they think, oh my gosh, that's so overwhelming, but they go for it. They see that they can do hard things and that they can learn and that they can make progress in all areas of their lives. I also see kids branching out and using music in different aspects of their lives. So video games and video game music is a huge thing now. So when we can make those two worlds cross, it's like the best thing ever for a lot of our younger boys, especially. So, really the life-changing elements of music for our students of all ages, it's huge. It really is huge.
That's awesome. So we talked a lot about the students, but I'm also interested to understand a little bit more about how music has changed the lives of the instructors.
Yeah, absolutely. So my goal when I started this company, I thought it was going to be just me and my students, and it was going to be Lessons by Brooke. There wasn't even an and company at the beginning. And I was going to teach and have, maybe 30 students, and we'd have recitals and do all these fun things. And I quickly realized that there was a really big need for in-home private music lessons. And I was only one person. We only have those after school hours, and I couldn't get everywhere. And I initially started by just hiring my friends, and I would say, I will do all of the business stuff, the yucky things that you don't want to do. I will coordinate the schedule. I will do the recital planning. I will, do the invoicing, collect payments, all that kind of stuff. You do the fun part. You get to do the teaching, and we'll work together to make everything happen. And I really believe that, and that's how we still operate today. I take care of the yucky stuff, all the business things that I actually find really fun. I love, the organizational side of this business is like one of my passions, but it allows the teachers the ability to teach, whether it's full-time, this is their full-time job, or whether this is just how they keep music in their lives. Maybe they have another career, or they're performers and they don't have something that's steady all the time, but this can be their study. Teaching music can be their study, and passing on everything that they've learned from their amazing teachers is such an honor for all of us. So it's really, really been a great community of instructors throughout the years. People kind of come and go as they need to. I've hired people as young as sophomores in college. So you can only imagine all the transitions they've gone through, and they're still with me today as, postgraduate. They're traveling, they're moving, all these different things. So it's honestly helped the instructors be able to keep teaching a part of their lives because we work together to make it happen.
That's great. Well, it sounds like there's so much that you can get out of these music lessons. It almost strikes me as there's maybe opportunities to give maybe music lessons as a gift for maybe family members or maybe even corporate gifts. Who knows?
Yes, absolutely. So I love to do gift certificates. I have some really cute ones printed up, and we always recommend giving at least a month of lessons to somebody. So that's typically 4 or 5 lessons. And the reason for that is one lesson is typically only 30 minutes. That's not really enough. You're just getting used to the teacher, and especially for singing, it's very vulnerable. And a lot of times students don't even like to sing by themselves in their first lesson because it's a little nerve-wracking. So I always recommend giving a month of lessons. We definitely have gift certificates, and I think it's a great gift. It's been a great raffle item for me to be able to give, 4 lessons to somebody. That's been a really hot item in some different auctions that we've been a part of and some charity things. So yeah, absolutely.
Great. That's great.
That's awesome. So, Brooke, if folks want to get in touch with your company to explore music lessons for themselves, their children, their coworkers, anybody, their spouses, how can they reach you?
We have a website. It's lessonsbybrooke.com, and Brooke has an E at the end. You can also email me anytime, lessonsbybrooke@gmail.com. But truly, our website has everything. It has links to all of our social media. We're pretty active on Facebook and Instagram. We're working on building up our YouTube channel a little bit, and we're all over the place. So however you can get in touch, we will be there, I promise.
That's awesome. Brooke, thank you for your time today. The information and the guidance are very helpful, and we greatly appreciate your expertise and hope our listeners find it equally useful.
Yes, me too. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for watching this week's episode of Ask the Experts.
I'm your co-host, Jeffrey Walk.
And I'm Elizabeth Finlayson.
Don't forget to send us your questions, suggestions, or ideas. As always, you can reach us at asktheexperts@gmail.com. That's asktheexperts, all one word, @gmail.com.
Have a productive week.